Over the past few years, we've been working on this original translation of G.O.Mebes' masterwork, with invaluable help of Russian, Portuguese and Dutch friends, and a lot of time spent with online translation programs. Lacking the advanced polyglot skills of the masters whose titanic footsteps we have attempted to faithfully follow, we have done the best we can in accordance with our knowledge and abilities. Our sincere hope with this work is that we shall both honour the memory of the master G.O.Mebes and answer the call made by Valentin Tomberg in the 20th Arcanum of Meditations on the Tarot, the Judgment, where he requests the reader to become an unreserved trustee of the task in question, should they consent to do so, saying, "If you consent, do all that you judge to be proper." The task in question is to continue the theurgical work of the spiritual stream and to develop the book which rests upon the lap of the High Priestess. At the time of writing, September 2019, shortly before the autumn equinox, it is exactly 100 years since Tomberg was taken under the advanced tutelage of G.O.Mebes, and we have strongly sensed that the time has come for the rich threads of the tradition they represent to be woven together. We do not flatter ourselves that we are able to complete this monumental task alone, especially given that such work involves administering the fruit of intellectual and spiritual attainment far superior to our own. We can but try to make the way forward a little bit easier for anyone else who is willing and able to take up this mantle in future. We have spent over 2 decades studying the works of Tomberg, and he is more familiar to us than G.O.Mebes, though both men are mysterious, as esoteric masters are wont to be. Whilst there are significant differences between their work, the bonds of history, culture and fraternal affection which unite them are a joy to behold for those of us who love them. By reinforcing the connection between these two occult masters, we hope to fortify the structure of the road that is to be walked by a Christian hermeticist of the future, to smooth over points along the way where much became unclear, either lost in time or confused by the dividing roads taken by later pathwalkers. Drinking afresh from the fountain of wisdom that is Meditations on the Tarot, in the light of our later study of G.O.Mebes, we were delighted to see the countless indicators of Tomberg's early education in the secret schoolrooms of St. Petersburg. A turn of phrase here, and a specific point of teaching there, make clear the indelible impression left upon him by his teacher, though they are subtle tributes, the product of a well-formed magical memory, and touching proof that we cannot help but remember who and what we love. It is with the help of Meditations on the Tarot that we came to understand what many intuitively know, which is that memory is integral to higher supernatural realms. We remember, we awaken, we live, or we forget, we sleep and we die. Let us then be awakened to our memories of the divine, that we may live in the house of the Lord, in the green pastures, beside the still waters. In addition to such sentiments, there is another important reason for our recourse to Tomberg for assistance with the commentary of G.O.Mebes' Tarot Mages course. The latter was in some definite sense preparing his students for one of the most tragic periods of history in and around the 2 world wars, and his work is uncompromising. Such rigour also reflects the requirements of Masonic degrees, of which he was the Grand Master, and underscores the peculiar qualities of the Russian mind, which is, we shall wager, intrinsically more psychic and suited to occultism than most. The inner sanctum of G.O.Mebes' threefold study group was strictly limited to carefully selected pupils who were deemed capable of a high degree of initiation. History has shown that Tomberg was his star pupil in this respect. This is strong meat, and it was brought into the world during terrible, some might say apocalyptic, times, in one of the most dangerous possible environments on earth, especially for a practicing magician. With Tomberg's later texts written from a place of comparative safety, albeit following a long hard journey, and with the benefit of much wisdom, hindsight and Christian piety, we are given a highly refined resolution to the 22 major arcana. These are introduced with a potent reminder that is to be impressed upon the minds of all readers, that the yoke should be easy and the burden light, as offered by the Master Jesus via St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11. It is worth bearing in mind that not all pupils of G.O.Mebes went on to become dazzling luminaries of the universal faith, as in the case of Tomberg, or devoted followers who were able to safeguard their master's work for posterity, as in the case of Nina Rudnikov and Katerina Zvezkina-Zelenzev. Certain members of the G.O.Mebes circle went on to form occult groups of their own, where some of the practices they engaged in did, in our opinion, quite clearly cross the line into black magic or sorcery. You will read in the present volume what the teacher had to say about black and white magic, dark and light initiations. In desperate times, people are pushed to desperate measures, and there is another more sombre reason for the sense of urgency we feel towards our present mission, as humanity is haunted once again by the dark egregore of communism and other forms of political extremism. In his Foreword to Russian Spirituality and Other Essays, Mystery of Our Times Seen Through the Ideas of a Russian Esotericist, by Valentin Tomberg, Robert Powell writes, "Even though Soviet communism has died, its spirit lives on in a variety of contemporary manifestations, for example, in a draconian apparatus for control over the populace on a scale now undreamt of in the Soviet Union. Aided by modern technology, it is more possible than ever for Big Brother to keep a large portion of humanity under constant surveillance." Readers can decide for themselves how prescient these words, published for the first time in 2010, have turned out to be. By reinforcing and helping to advance the most powerful means of neutralizing the radical communist egregore, which is the collective force of the Western mystery tradition and universal Christian devotion, we might hold the balance of this egregious entity in check. How does one render impotent a monstrous egregore, the product of millions of minds and souls generated over the past 100 years? And how might the two extreme poles of contending powers be neutralized? For the answers, please read on.